here's something I don't know if you can relate, but what I didn't realize for far too long is that when you said do nothing, it's important to do nothing. It is, I completely agree. But what I thought doing nothing was not actually doing nothing. So I thought maybe watching a show on Netflix was doing nothing. I thought maybe
Mm-hmm.
playing a video game. I thought maybe going and grabbing something to eat by myself sometimes, these things I was like, oh, well, I'm not working. So that's technically doing nothing. But it actually wasn't. And I didn't realize that for a while. And then obviously with gardening being a business as well as a passion of mine, it's hard sometimes for that to be my nothing, right? And so what I started to do actually with Jacques on my team, he got into carving wood, just
Uh-huh.
whittling, and
I
he invited
saw.
me over to do it, and I carved a spoon. It took me like 3 or 4 hours to carve this spoon. Didn't pick my phone up, barely spoke, but Jacques and I would just be chatting here and there. But I was focused on this spoon. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, I remember I felt like my brain got scrubbed clean by like a toothbrush or something. And then I realized, oh, doing nothing, your mind needs to be in a different state of being. And that's
Yeah.
what you mentioned. And I'm upset, I guess, that it took me so long to realize that. But for me, it's difficult for the garden to be that nothing. And so you have this idea of a garden break that I think is really cool, and I might start to implement. And maybe you could just explain what that is.
A garden break, it is a purposeful pause. It can be a micro break of 5 minutes, something that less than 15, 20 minutes out of your day. And of course, experts recommend that you have at least two breaks in during your workday, at least two breaks in the day of 15 minutes after you have maybe a 90-minute task, and so you can give your brain but also your body a time to stretch, a time to do something else. And there's so many things that you can start adjusting, things that you like, maybe things that you like to do related to plants, related to into your garden. If you work from home, for example, as I do, I take too many garden breaks, but they are purposed. They have a purpose, and of course, I have built the garden areas so I may not need to go outdoors outside. I can look at from the window and just like looking into birds, the flowers, looking at details that you maybe when you are in this maybe you are in a state of doing things you can't notice. So those are the breaks that give you that mental space, that opportunity to notice the big things but also the small things. So that's a garden break, something that you can have fun. It's something nature based,
Hmm.
even if you don't have a garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I have to maybe put it in that container of garden break because if I was to go out, let's say after we finish speaking, I could go out and I have about 30 minutes before something else is going on for the day.
Yes.
And so that is a 30-minute chunk. And what I might do is I might check my email or I might, check my phone or I might go outside.
Yes.
But if I go outside sometimes in the garden, I might say, okay, well, let me go figure out what I need to do today or what I need help with from the team or whatever. And I could just take 15 and simply wander and allow the mind to be more free and less structured, kind of see what comes up from there, and then spend maybe the other 15 before I have to go back inside doing a thing that like really needs to be done, perhaps.
Yes, when you have a break, when you schedule your breaks, like you schedule time with your team, time to do something in particular. If when you have a scheduled garden break and you know what you want to do, even if it's for 5 minutes, you are not tempted to take the phone with you
Yeah.
and start scrolling down on social media. There's so many good things on social media, of course,
Mhm.
that it is content that it fulfill you and grow into you, but there are so many other things that can put you down, and that's the thing that can trigger you. So instead of relaxing, it can, you go back even more stressed, or now with another preoccupation, another worriness in your mind that you didn't have 20 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
that is why it is important to schedule it, but also to know what to do in that spare time. Again, it's not just having the spare time, because it's what to do in that. And when you know yourself in terms of what are the things that I enjoy more, oh, it's carving wood now. So
Mhm.
I can start doing 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes are gonna fulfill you. So you're gonna be looking forward for all your next 5 or 15 minutes. And there's gonna be a time that no one will need you to, or you won't need to be reminded that you need to take a break, because you will do it naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point I'm not at yet myself, is the natural breaks being the restorative styles of breaks. But I like the idea even of just the carving wood, of walking out. If I have the setup out there on the table and I can just wander out, oh, just do a couple carves and then
Yes.
come back in. That's actually a really good idea. It doesn't have to be a scheduled session of 3 hours to go carve.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And you can be outdoors, listen to the birds, uh, enjoying the breeze, things like that, but doing other things that doesn't have to do with transplanting something. And
Yeah,
and that's
pruning,
okay. And
weeding.
by
Yeah,
the way, Kevin, do not feel bad that you now realize, in your life that, oh, about, the breaks and the important, or that you are not there right now. You're gonna get there, and
yeah.
that because you are in a different stage in your life, and it's okay. It's okay to admit it, but do not, fall in there
Yeah, don't get so
so long.
sad and beat yourself up
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're
Hello.
listening, if you're listening to the podcast and my story sounds familiar to you, then I would suggest trying out this garden break idea. I really like it. As spring starts to come, it can be very overwhelming to figure out all of the things that you want to do in the garden. There's the basic tasks of starting seeds, transplanting, pruning, fertilizing, building your beds. And then there's like the larger things. Maybe you want to put in a garden pathway. Maybe you're looking into a chicken coop. And all these projects can really build up and freeze you in your process. So sometimes you might just put one off for the entire season, or you might be very stressed out about a particular project. Watch the full episode right here and subscribe for more new episodes every single week.